Her name is Joan Thuo. She's a career coach, she's a career development professional. She helps guys prepare for interviews. She's also very good with re-careering. She has a background in psychology. She's amazing, but she's best known as Joan, the career coach. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm psyched. I'm happy.
First, let me tell you, we're so honored to have you this morning.
Privileged.
I'm the one who's honored.
Let me tell you, like, when she said yes. She said yes. And I was so excited to have you. Joan, thanks so much for making time to be with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Perhaps for the two people who may not know about you, because if you don't know Joan, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But they're like two guys in Ashuku. They've just come from under a rock or they're in space for a long time. Just landed back after 3 years. Who's Joan?
Joan is a career coach. So I work closely with individuals or group of people to help them increase their chances of landing jobs. And I do that by helping with CV makeover, LinkedIn makeover, interview preparation, career development, basically anything that you need to do to increase your chances of landing a job. That's what I do. I also do a lot of work around career coaching, so helping people get clear about the direction in which they need to steer their careers. I'm also a mom of 3 boys. Ooh. Yes.
That's, I feel like, it's now a full-time job, isn't it?
It is.
Mom of boys, 3 boys, no less.
I can imagine that house, remote, mom.
Can you imagine? And
car
you
keys.
told me they're all under 4.
Yes, they're all under 4.
Oh man, what's an unknown fact about you? Before we get to the serious side of you, Joan, what's an unknown fact about you?
So I don't know if it's unknown, but I'm actually very introverted. So this is what happens when people see my social media. They automatically assume I'm an extrovert and you're going to meet me on the streets and I'll be, like all happy and dancing. And but the fact is, when I'm approached by someone, I feel like I want to run away or hide under a rock because my personality is very introverted.
Is it?
It is. Like extremely. So when people meet me for the first time, I feel like I disappoint them because they're expecting this,
like energy.
Fun, energy.
Like, yeah, let's get on TikTok. Let's dance.
Let's dance. Let's do this thing. And then me, I'm like, oh my God, just go.
Oh my goodness me.
Yeah.
Tell us about your educational background.
All right. So I studied psychology. I majored in a field of psychology called industrial psychology. From very early on, I knew I wanted to work with people and help them, in their career. And I knew I wanted to apply psychology in the workplace. So I did not, I think what I'm doing now is exactly what I studied, and I count myself lucky.
There are 4 words I thought she was going to say. 4 magic words.
Which one?
I went to Alliance. And she did go to Alliance. I thought that would be...
I think she jumped that part for the perfect timing.
Alumnus of Alliance that doesn't tell people I went to Alliance.
I do. I like joking and saying that because I know it annoys people.
It's the first thing. In fact, there's a guy who was saying that he went for a funeral and they were lowering the body. Like, does not have any last words. Yeah, he went to Alliance.
Oh, Lord.
People from Alliance need to know that. Need the world to know they went to Alliance. So you did industrial psychology.
Yes.
Where is that? Where did you do that?
USIU.
Oh. And how was that? What did you want to do in mind when you were doing it in school? What did you have in mind? So,
funny thing, when I went to USIU, I actually applied for journalism. Yes. So I knew. It's so funny. So when I was applying for journalism, I wanted to do broadcast media. But then when I went to class, I found everyone in class was like extroverted, loud, journalism students, and I was like, no, this might not be my cup of tea. So I switched from journalism to psychology, and then now when I started doing psychology, I loved my course. I enjoyed, and that's what I ended up doing. But I initially enrolled for journalism.
All right, Joan, random question: how big is your CV? How many pages?
2
only.
Yes.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
It's
in
too
fact,
long.
it's too long. It needs to be 1.
And what should a CV have?
So for me, the ideal length is nothing more than 2 pages. So the CVs we revamp are actually nothing more than 2 pages. And also, they don't have referees.
In this Kenya, are you talking about America?
Yeah, okay. Well, we are in about like 20 countries, but like all the CVs that we do, they are a maximum of 2 pages. And one of the things, the other things that we do, our CVs don't have referees. The reason why you should not put referees on your CV is, number one, it makes the CV like longer than it should. Number two, what normally happens is you can put him as a referee, for example, and then he steals your lunch. Meanwhile, your CV is seated somewhere pretty, and he's number one, as the referees. You see, now when they call, he's probably not going to give the best reference.
Yes.
And I know of so many people, they end up staying for such long periods of time without a job because the people they put as their referees keep giving negative references, and they don't know. Sometimes people, like life happens, people like move from one organization to the other, they might not even like remember you, so they end up not giving a good reference, and that's why some people don't have jobs. So what you want to do is have a list of referees, and then call them before you put their names. You can always send your referees as an attachment. They don't need to appear on the CV, and you can use different references for different jobs. So like if I'm applying for a job at Pal Radio, for example, those referees are not going to be the same as if I was applying for a job at Google.
For sure.
Yes.
But 2 pages, surely. I think what we've been taught for the longest time is that the longer, like Professor Magoha when he was being interviewed, and you have like 10 pages and you feel like that's too few already.
That's a whole booklet.
Yeah, and then Joan telling us 2.
No, it needs
How do you
to
get a
be
job with 2?
So it needs to be fresh, crisp. It needs to, the length of your CV needs to be like the length of a woman's skirt. Long enough to cover the content, short enough to keep things interesting. Because what you want to do, you want to give enough information to make them want to call you for an interview. So the CV, it shouldn't have everything in its entirety, just enough to want to make them call you for an interview.
And what are the contents? Are they saying, what are you saying that everything used to do? Or how do you put everything in 2 pages? How do you summarize it?
So what are the most important things that you need to put on the CV? So of course the first thing is your correct names. I know there are people who, the name that is there on the CV is not the name on the M-Pesa, is not the name on the degree certificate. Like, are you doing wash? What is going on? So like your correct names, telephone number, and correct email address. There are people who leave out like a digit. So can you imagine, I want to call you for an interview, and then you have not put the correct telephone number or the correct email, so we'll never be able to get in touch with you. So those 3 most important.
Do you find people, and sorry to butt in, who have email addresses which are not reflective of them? So for example, if mine is like barakamora at whatever.com, and then there's a hotgirl96 at Gmail.
Party animal.
Imagine.
Email.
Party animal 3000.
Party animal.
We need to do something about, like, the email address needs to be professional. Then the next thing is a summary, or what other people would call a professional statement, and this is just like a brief of who you are, what you have done, an elevator pitch of sorts. So if you're to like get into an elevator with like a director or someone that you have been looking up to, and you need to pitch yourself for like a minute, what would you say? That same information would go in the summary section of your CV. So that part, after your name, email address, the next part is that summary professional statement. That part is very important. It's the first thing that I will see when I look at your CV. Then below now the professional summary, you want now to put your education background. So and I normally encourage, if you went to school and you got like honors, you want to state that. You don't have to put the year that you graduated, because then that can give you away. So like sometimes maybe they want to hire people who are between the ages of 25 and 30, but they cannot say that because it's going to be discriminatory. But if you put the year that you graduated there, then I can do my math quickly and I can tell. So it's highly advised, do not put the year, but do put if you graduated with honors or something like that. I know many people suffer from imposter syndrome, so they'll be like, nikieka honors taka kama na ringa, ama if I went, like, I don't want to say I got an A, and you should put that if indeed you got like good grades, because that is going to push you ahead. Then the other thing now you want to put is key achievements. So below the key achievements, you're going to state the places you have worked, but you want to look over your career and see what kind of contributions have you done in your career. What kind of problems did you solve? What kind of innovations did you do? Did you begin new processes in the organization, what are the key achievements that you have had in your career so far, and you want to highlight that. Remember, recruiters and hiring managers would spend like 6 seconds on your CV, so you have like about 6 seconds to like capture their attention and make them want to continue reading. So like, no, the key achievements, it's one of the things that you can do to capture the attention of a recruiter and a hiring managers. Recruiters love numbers, so you want to say, I increased profits by like $1 million, or they like seeing numbers, time. So you want to quantify the achievements. Professional summary, education, key achievements, then work experience, and then after work experience, like depending on the kind of CV that you have, you can put how you spend your time, you can put some books that you read, and that should be about it.
I see how my CV would look like in 2 pages. First, are you on LinkedIn, sir?
No.
You're not. Why are you not on LinkedIn? Are you seeing the eyes she's giving you? She's giving you some bad eyes.
I'm like
really bad eyes.
Who is LinkedIn? Is it plant?
Who is LinkedIn? Who is LinkedIn? What's the importance of LinkedIn, and how should my LinkedIn profile look like?
So LinkedIn is extremely important. Dare I say, it's probably more important than a CV, because your LinkedIn, it does your work for you without you lifting a finger. When you have an amazing LinkedIn profile, there are recruiters and hiring managers across the world viewing your profile, seeing whether you are a good fit and a good candidate. After COVID, many recruiters and hiring managers went onto LinkedIn to, recruit candidates. So it's really important that you have a revamped LinkedIn profile, but it's not enough to just have a 5-star LinkedIn profile. You need to be active on LinkedIn profile, because what happens, how the LinkedIn algorithm works is, the more active you are, the more your profile becomes visible. So like now, for example, you could have your LinkedIn profile, but then the last time you updated it was like maybe 5 months ago. Someone else who has less years of experience and who is less qualified than you keeps updating their LinkedIn profile on a regular basis. If I search for someone with your qualifications, and
he'll pop up.
Yes, he'll pop up fast.
Yeah.
So you need to have a 5-star LinkedIn profile, but you need to optimize it by ensuring that you are constantly, being on LinkedIn, you're updating your profile, you are sharing content, just to ensure that, it's visible.
All right. So we've talked about the CVs and getting yourself in the room. Now you've gotten the interview. Let's talk about getting the interview when we're back.
96.9 FM, Pearl Radio.